and welcome to New Wave Global. You are watching Unraveled with Marvi Sirmed. The story we are covering tonight is one of wholesale censorship that left observers around the world in shock last week. It comes from yet again the India-administered Kashmir. On August 5th, which was also the 6th anniversary of the revocation of Article 370, the Jammu and Kashmir Home Department issued an order banning 25 books on Kashmir, citing accusations of false narrative, secessionism, and above all, glorification of terrorism. The banned works, however, are authored by prominent scholars, historians, journalists, human rights activists, and many of them are published by world-renowned academic presses. So among these banned titles is also a book, A Dismantled State, The Untold Story of Kashmir after Article 370, a book whose author is our guest tonight, the renowned journalist and scholar, the executive editor of Kashmir Times, one of the oldest English dailies in India-administered Jammu and Kashmir. She is an award-winning journalist celebrated for her fearless reporting and for taking the government of India to the Supreme Court over the communications blockade of 2019. Her work in both journalism and her research for her book offers a deeply documented account of the lives of Kashmiris under unprecedented political and communication restrictions, far from being the false narrative or secessionist or glorification of terrorism. So very, very warm welcome, Anuradha Bhasin, once again to our.
Thank you so much for having me.
So with your help, we will examine what this ban means for freedom of expression, for the public's right to know, for the public's right to read, the shrinking democratic space in Kashmir and beyond. And above all, why the government of India chose to do it now. So government's stated reason, as I just said earlier, the claim that these books spread false narratives and promote secessionism. I read your article. You have written a couple of articles in past week, and your article in The Wire, probably, it starts with the very cheeky remark that someone in the Home Department would be a very well-read person to have read all those books before banning them. Seriously, in your other article published by TRT, you say that this is not the first time that books are banned in Kashmir. So I want to know, what do you mean by that? This is not the first time, yes, but why do you think new this time?
Look, this is my article was about, I pointed out that books have not been banned across in India in this bigger scale. They have been banned in India, in Kashmir, but we haven't seen this kind of a brazen and sweeping ban where 25 books have been picked up. And one doesn't know the criteria. And you mentioned my The Wire article where I kind of satirically comment,
Yeah.
what the criteria for finding out is. Because what they've done is, while making these kind of sweeping remarks, that these books are promoting terrorism, glorifying terrorism, or promoting secessionism, which is not true. They haven't pointed out any passages. Now, do they mean to say that the entire book, each and every word of it is objectionable? And why so? And these are typical, these bureaucratic processes, I would say, which probably not just India, but all of or Kashmir, all of US, South Asia is very familiar with.
Yeah.
So somebody decided that 25 books had to be banned for a certain purpose. And other people got busy in finding out, okay, which are these ones that we should pick. So they were kind of handpicked. Now, as far as the timing of the ban is concerned, um, I don't know, we can only speculate. But
Mm,
what it looks like, looking at what has happened in the last 6 years, I
mm,
mean, the politics of Jammu and Kashmir has always been very controlled by New Delhi state on the Indian side, which
mm,
is probably also true of what happens on the Pakistani side by Islamabad. So,
mm,
but in the last 6 years, it has been much more so on the Indian side. After the abrogation of Article 370, when the state was cleaved into two parts, Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir, and both reduced to union territories, not full-fledged states, having lost their special status. The government has been trying to control the narrative by silencing civil society, by silencing media, by silencing all political activity or marginalizing political activity, which recently, on the face of it, has been restored after the elections, October of 2024. But, they don't enjoy the same kind of powers and the same kind of space anymore. And so there has been a continuous attempt through intimidation, through coercion, through threats, through arrests, raids, and all of these that to silence and marginalize voices and to only amplify the state narrative. Now,
mm,
the banning of the books seems to be in line with that, that the government of India are uncomfortable with any criticism of the state which is not equivalent to glorifying terrorism or promoting secessionism, now wants all kinds of knowledge and information out of the public domain.
mm. Yeah, that's right. Also, over the past, after 20, it started during and just before the Lok Sabha elections last year. The government of India had been insisting that things are now normal in Kashmir. People are taking part in elections, and they took part in election. They participated in droves in elections, and we saw usually those who were uh, had been boycotting elections were not only participating as voters, but many of them were also contesting the elections. So it was a very pleasant kind of an environment that was prevailing. I remember talking to you on that, and you sort of scratched the surface, and you really took us deeper into what was happening. But what the point I wanted to make was that the government of India has been claiming that the terrorism and separatism, secessionism have been effectively decimated. Now, Kashmir is safe for tourism and for buying lands or whatever. So, but what we saw, the claim about terrorism ripped apart by those, the extremely tragic, uh, blood-boiling, act of terrorism in Pahalgam in April. But do you think the claim about eliminating secessionism may also have proven false, judging by this bookman? I mean, clearly the government is seems to be scared of something dissent still.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. I mean, for the last 6 years, the government time and again has been saying that there is normalcy in Kashmir. And, there is kind of an overlapping of these statements and of, okay, it is nearing a state of normalcy. So they're contradicting themselves
Yeah.
constantly with these kind of, even with their normalcy narrative. Has
Mm,
it been achieved? Is it going to be achieved? They're not very clear. And there are no facts supporting that argument.
mm,
While you did mention the elections that happened last year and people came out in big numbers, and unfortunately, observers in India, not just the Indian states, sometimes liberals included,
Mm,
see elections as a lens to measure Kashmir's normalcy. Now, elections have happened in the past where people have participated in big and huge numbers. Of course, this time it was unprecedented after 1990s. It was the first time that we saw the voting percentage crossing 60 in most of the constituencies.
mm,
And that is something that has not happened since the 90s, even though after, in the 2000s, the voting percentages were going up till 2014 elections.
mm,
Every election there was a marginal or
mm,
a substantial increase.
mm,
Now, even during those years, things haven't been fully normal. And
mm,
now at a point when, other than the state narrative, nothing else is coming out. It is
mm,
so difficult to even get much information about what is really happening. And
mm,
while the government keeps saying, okay, normalcy is there, they
mm,
do not have enough facts to substantiate that kind of a narrative or an argument.
mm,
They talk about tourism figures going up.
mm,
So now that tourism has come down after Pahalgam, one of the reasons that, one of the factors that the government says, reasons that there is normalcy is that terrorism has been decimated. And
mm,
this is not true.
mm,
Because the statistics do not match their claims. The statistics of terrorism, which has seen ups and downs in the last over 3.5 decades, have been more or less the same in the last 1.5 decades.
mm,
There has been a bit of up and down. There have been the forms of militancy have changed. You have homegrown militancy sometimes. You have more number of foreign militants from across the borders operating. And but the numbers by and large are the same. There have been in the last, particularly the last 2 years, there have been extremely worrying incidents of militancy and terrorism, where Indian security forces have been caught in encounters for days and weeks and unable to actually capture the militants dead or alive, and they have managed to escape. Now it is said that the terrorists who are now coming from across the border are trained in a more sophisticated manner,
mm,
are more digital savvy and
mm,
less reliant on locals. And this kind of matches the recent findings of the National Investigating Agency,
mm,
which after 3 months of the Pahalgam killings, where 26 innocent civilians were shot dead,
mm,
um, that no locals were involved. So
mm,
this in some ways matches that. But
mm,
this in no way, kind of, one can't conclude from what is
mm,
happening that terrorism has been decimated. It remains at the same level, or maybe slightly there is probably the militant groups have a much a better hand.
mm,
If you look at the intensity of the incidents, if you look at the very selective killings in recent years, and
mm,
it's becoming more of a menace. So all the things that the government is saying are not true and not based on facts.
mm. Yeah, that's true, but I still do not understand why, which means, judging by your answer and judging by the order that has come, the government doesn't feel very secure in Kashmir. The government feels that there is a amount of dissent present in the Kashmiri society that is that is a threat to the government. I don't see that happening. I mean, the people who are, who want to speak, they are either pushed out or are silenced in Kashmir. How do you see it? I mean, why is government so scared, and who the government is scared of?
I think the government right now we've never had in India a right-wing government. I mean, of course, during Vajpayee's time it was there. They were not in full majority, and probably it had a different face.
Mm,
But this is probably the first time there is an open desire that the state, the present state has to turn democratic India into an authoritarian state. And
mm,
it's not just happening in Kashmir, it is happening across the country.
mm,
But it is, I think, the level of control and authoritarianism in
mm,
Kashmir, which is central
mm,
to the BJP and its parent organization RSS's ideology. It wants to control the narrative there because it is the only Muslim majority region in India. And for this reason, their main concentration is on Kashmir, of complete intolerance to any dissent, of complete intolerance to even a word of criticism. It because it kind of does not complement their
mm,
own vision of India. It does not complement their own vision and their own model for Kashmir. So
mm,
they are constantly, any government that wants to, that aspires to turn a country into an authoritarian place
mm.
is always very paranoid. And
Yeah.
so the present government lives under a sense of paranoia, and that it's constantly scared of the citizens, that they will ask questions.
Mm,
And it is natural, and especially in today's world, for citizens to resist any kind of clampdown. So any kind of questioning, any kind of even whispering,
mm.
I think the government is scared of that.
Yeah. My next question has two parts. It's about the impact. First part is impact on people. I mean, how might this ban affect people, especially young people in Kashmir, who may never encounter these perspectives, given, for example, your book, based on sheer research and first person accounts, etc. So they might not even have these perspectives in the absence of these very critical books. Now, the other part is the chilling effect. We have seen the raids on the bookstores. We have seen the police confiscating books from shops and from literary festival stalls. What effect does this have on overall cultural life and local, the fabric of society as a?
It's very difficult to answer this question. We're living in a digital world.
Mm,
And a complete ban is impossible. And even more bizarre, this ban is only prevalent in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, but probably not even in Ladakh, which was till 2019 a part of the erstwhile state.
mm,
The ban doesn't exist in India.
mm,
And, everybody keeps talking. I keep hearing about the Streisand effect,
mm,
and that a lot of people who were not even familiar with some of the names in the book list are now trying to hunt for them. I've seen people trying to circulate them in Google Docs and making it available to the larger public. And much of this is happening in India. And I'm sure at some scale it is also happening in Kashmir, though, it's not open because the ban is there. And there would be attempts by youngsters who want to read, who are working on this, or who are curious to, who are just, ordinary people. They're not researchers, but they are curious to know about Kashmir. Many of these books, of course, are important scholarship works, and particularly for academics, for those researching on different aspects of Kashmir. And for them,
Very
it's
insightful works of fiction as well. You know, Bisharat Pir's book has also been banned.
no, 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 that's not included.
Oh, that's not included. Okay. But it was included in the previous bans, one of the previous bans, no?
No, there was no previous ban
Okay.
approved.
Okay. That was
So,
then misnomer.
but the like
So sorry, you
even
were
as
saying
even
something.
as I even as people may continue to find ways to access
Hmm,
it digitally in some way
hmm,
or the other.
hmm.
There is at the moment, at least for now, a chilling effect as well. Because
Yeah.
what they have criminalized is it's not just the ban on the books,
Hmm,
it's a ban and forfeiting.
hmm,
Forfeiture of books, which means that they went to bookstores, they raided bookstores, they seized all
hmm.
books that were available, all books on the list that were available, and whatever, they must have destroyed it or done
Yeah.
whatever. But this gives in Jammu and Kashmir, and particularly in Kashmir Valley, where the daily norm is crackdowns and random arrests. This will
Yeah.
further give the government, it is feared, that a pretext, a weapon in their hands to
Hmm,
use this as an excuse to enter people's home, to people to confiscate their devices if they are accessing these books digitally, at least to snoop around and, just make it an excuse and say.
yeah.
And that is a fear. So it is creating a chilling effect. And
Hmm,
I fear it will have dangerous consequences because when people won't be scared of just the 25 books that have been banned. People
hmm.
would just be scared of reading anything.
Yeah.
And, Kashmir particularly has been a space where youngsters are voracious
Hmm,
readers. They are argumentative. They are people who discuss things. They are people who are politically aware.
hmm.
And I think that space may shrink to some extent, at least for now. But having said that, I feel that it is difficult to sustain these kind of bans for a long time. There will be a time when it will be resisted.
There will be a time, but that was my next question. Are you, or maybe if you know of other authors who have been banned, I mean, whose works have been banned on this list, are you guys or any of you planning to challenge this ban in court? What are the prospects?
I mean, we still, at least for I can speak for myself, I'm still trying to process it.
Mm-hmm.
And I, I'm not in touch with any lawyers at the moment or anybody, but I'm just waiting and seeing how things pan out. I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the authors whose works have been banned are not contacting each other and not making a collective response. That would be
I
helpful.
think some of us are in touch, but yeah, this hasn't been under discussion.
Okay.
Uh, I think some of the authors that I know and I'm in touch with, they're all in different parts of the world right now.
Yeah.
One, of course, Mr. A.J. Nurani is dead. He would have definitely challenged, at least spoken out
Yeah.
very bravely against this.
Exactly. I was sort of missing him a lot. But existence of you guys, you especially, is a blessing. I am telling you, because we don't see these voices coming from Pakistan administered Kashmir. Have you ever seen? I haven't
Hmm.
heard any such voice, any
I
such
think
news
I
coming.
keep hearing now that, you know.
there.
Now that we are covering in Kashmir Times, we are covering both regions to some extent. It's a very small operation, but we do bring stories. And there is, in fact, an ongoing resistance even in Pakistan administered Kashmir. Unfortunately, the Pakistan media, which at some point we could look up to because they could resist, I think in more recent years, probably because they are under so much duress, or
Those days are gone.
that yeah, there is not even a whisper
Yeah.
about Pakistan administered Kashmir. I'm told that last year several books were banned, even in Pakistan administered Kashmir.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, but they our media.
both Islamabad and New Delhi probably imitate each other and emulate each other's
Yeah.
policies when it comes to Kashmir.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so grateful to the dissenting voices, both in India and Pakistan, and especially in India and Pakistan administered Kashmir. I know there are voices in Pakistan administered Kashmir, but I hope there is a time when they are also ready to come to camera and be here, and both you and some of them are together in our show. May that time come, and may all of you are in your homes, uh, safe and
Yes,
safe and loud as you are, as you people are. So we with this hope.
without fear.
Absolutely. And me too. I also deserve to be home.
Of course.
So with that hope, the views you have heard tonight, banning books is not, I mean, I was already saying that it's not just censorship, it's more than that. It's a calculated move to shape the narrative of history, to rewrite the history, to shape the politics,
Mhm.
to manipulate the identity of people by deciding who gets to tell the story and how, and who doesn't get to tell the story at all. So when the books are seized, the voices inside them, often painstakingly researched, I must remind you, and courageously written, as Anuradha Bhasin's book. We will leave the link to the Amazon link to the book in our description. Please do have a look at the book. Do read it as an act of rebellion, so that these voices are not silenced. This isn't just about Kashmir, not just about India administered
Yeah.
Kashmir, not just about Pakistan administered Kashmir. It is about the principles of democracy,
Mhm.
freedom to read, the freedom to know, the right to hold the mirror to power, to standing up to the power. With that, my thanks to Anuradha Bhasin for joining us and for her steadfast commitment to truth telling, despite the personal and professional risks. I know those risks are enormous. And to our viewers, thank you for tuning in and watching this episode. Now, what do you think about banning of these 25 books? Is this truly about national security, or is it about, as we said, narrowing the space for debate and dissent? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to New Wave Global, please, and share our Unraveled with your networks and your friends, and be part of the conversation. Until next time, I'm Marvi Sirmed. Stay engaged.